a lot of good people were there when I went through this.
It's actually brought my family closer together. I think,
as crazy as it sounds, it has been a blessing in some ways.
You meet some amazing people, people that you probably would never cross a path with because of if it wouldn't have been for breast cancer.
continue to be positive, and you know it's a battle that you're going to have to fight.
Well, I was 47 years old. I had had aspirations done on my one breast, and I had a lump, and I figured it was just the same as the one I had aspirated. So I waited until it started bothering me, and then my yearly mammogram came up, so I had my mammogram done, and it showed everything was fine, it wasn't cancerous. So I waited another 6 months, and I decided, well, it's starting to bother me, so I'll go see my surgeon. So I did, and of course he says, well, you know, Diane, I'm 90% positive that this is cancer.
I had just turned 48, and it was a self-exam because I had just had my mammogram in December, which did not show anything. So I did self-exam, and in May is when I found the lump. And I called my family doctor, and she made an appointment for me rather quickly. And she said that it needed to be checked by a breast surgeon, so I made an appointment, and it happened about a week later. He did a biopsy. He was fairly sure just by looking at it and you know, feeling it that it was going to be cancer.
I was 42 years old. It was in December, actually it was in November of 2010, and I guess I was diagnosed because I had discharge coming out of my left nipple. And at the time I thought it was from, I had lifted weights the day before and did, for me, it was a heavy workout, and I was pretty sore on a Sunday morning, and I felt something cold on my chest. So you know, after church we were driving actually, and I thought, well, that's weird. So I put my hand inside my shirt, and then when I brought my hand out, it was wet. And I thought, wow, that's weird. But no, you know, I didn't think anything at the time. And then later that day, I had taken my shirt off, and I realized that there was a lot of drainage. And again, I thought, well, that's probably something I did lifting weights the day before, and no big deal. But I did tell my wife, and right away she went online and started searching it. And she encouraged me to see my doctor, which I did that Monday. And the doctor was pretty aggressive in my treatment right from the start. I believe she knew something was majorly wrong, so she sent me for additional tests. That was towards the end of November, and then I had a mastectomy on December 21st, 2010.
I was 37, and I was in the shower, and I found a lump. Just taking a shower like everybody else does, and found a lump, and panicked a little, but didn't really try not to think about it, and was still there about a month, 6 weeks later, and I thought, better see a doctor. So I went to my gynecologist, where he did a breast exam, scheduled a mammogram, and before I knew it, I was in a surgeon's office, finding out that he thought I had breast cancer.
And this past year, I went for a mammogram, and it came back inconclusive. And I also felt a knot, which ended up being a bigger, it was about 5 centimeters. So within a year, it grew that much. But they say that I'm a fibrous woman, so it was hiding behind the tissue in my breast. And I was actually diagnosed with breast cancer in both breasts, not just one, which I think is pretty uncommon from what they're saying. So I'm just one of a kind, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when the doctor looks at you and says 99% chance this is cancer, that's what's in front of you. And the fact that it was breast cancer, at that point, it was cancer. And so, you know, the questions start, what's next? Surgery, radiation, chemo, you know, what are my chances of recovery? How much time from work am I going to miss? You know, what impact is this going to have on my day-to-day life?
At that moment, everything became a whirlwind, and it was just, you know, one thing after another, and I had my surgery, and then I went through my chemo and radiation, and so it was crazy.
You know, when I got the diagnosis, my wife was with me, and that was good. But for me, it wasn't like a breakdown moment. It was more like, okay, so this is what I've got to deal with. Let's get started. The hardest part was waiting for the surgery. Just because you want to, once you know your enemy, you want to get to the enemy and get the battle underway.
For me, I think the most challenging was the chemo treatments because they make you very tired and they disrupt your life. They really do. I tried to work while I was taking chemo. It didn't always work out for me, but I wanted to try and keep my life somewhat as I'm used to. But a lot of times when you're tired, you just can't do what you would normally like to do, your outside activities. So basically my life was put on hold while I was going through all that.
But I have to say, I ended up having to have a mastectomy, and that was one thing. I had no one to talk to because I didn't know anybody that had gone through it. And I have to say, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I was really expecting the worst, and it wasn't that bad. So it's a hard thing, but I had a husband that was very understanding, and he said, I want it out of you, so, that's what I did, and I don't regret it, and it's not that bad.
It was a curveball out of left field. Never even saw it coming. Friends said, oh, it's going to be a cyst, and that's sort of what was in my head. I think my husband, on the other hand, pretty much knew, but never told me that until later. So, yeah, it was just a big shock, big surprise.
I just wanted to think positive no matter what. It's like, it's not the end of the world. We have doctors here, and they're going to take care of us. And, like I said, I just tried to think positive, and hopefully everyone else around me felt the same.
I think it brings you closer. You find out, people just come out of the woodwork. It's just amazing, and you find that everybody knows somebody that has gone through cancer, and it's just, I think it just probably brought us closer. And you don't sweat the small stuff or the big, the small stuff anymore, and stuff. So you just, I don't know, it changes you.
The first thing that went through my mind is I kind of felt like I was a freak. I felt that having my breast removed was going to be, and everybody was going to look at me differently, is really what I thought. But it turns out that they're not really looking. They looked at me differently, but in a way that I did not expect. They looked at me as being brave, courageous, not what I expected. I thought they were going to look at me as being different and treat me differently. They treated me differently, but it was a good way in treating me.
My daughter was obviously upset when we did get the diagnosis that it was cancer, and I remember telling her and then getting a big hug, and me saying, we're okay. You still go to school tomorrow, I still go to work tomorrow, and I will have surgery, and we'll attack this with the energy that we have, and we'll see what happens.
I think most of my friends were pretty shocked because someone my age isn't typically diagnosed with breast cancer. You think of someone more in their 60s or 70s being diagnosed. I tried to let people know not to treat me any differently. I didn't want them to be oh poor me, oh pitiful me, and treat me any differently than they would. So life was pretty much the same.
I teach middle school, so middle school kids are awesome because they're so different, and they're little kids trying to become adults. And when I went into school, it's like I'm faced with a situation that I actually need to tell my students what's going on, because I don't want to walk into class one day and I'm wearing a hat, and then 800 of them say, "What's going on, Mrs. Doyle?" So basically what I did is I went to my principal, and I let him know what I was going to go through. Chemotherapy, I was going to lose my hair, and my body might go through some changes and things like that. So we actually announced it to the classes, so they were prepared, because I didn't want to just walk in and like shock them. I wanted them to be prepared. You know, I wanted to take care of them emotionally, so they were stable too, and I wanted to be stable also. So I just introduced it. I'm going to be wearing hats every day. I did try to wear a wig one day, but I had a couple students say, "Why are you wearing your wig, Miss Doyle?" I'm like, "Because I want to."
As crazy as it sounds, it has been a blessing in some ways. I've met so many wonderful people through all of this. I've gotten a job with breast cancer awareness. So I'm able to help other people that are, going through this, and, letting them know that, believe it or not, there is a shining lining through all this, and you'll get through it. You'll find that you're a stronger person than you thought that you were, and you're going to look back and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I went through that. I can't believe I made it. I did it." And it makes you stronger, I think. And I've just have gotten so many great friendships through all this that it sucks, but it's been good in some ways.
When they said about the chemotherapy and everything, that you'd lose your hair, I mean, to most women that's pretty devastating, but I prepared myself because I was told that, it's going to fall out in clumps, and they said shave your head, and I'm like, nope, I'm not. So I had little sprigs of hair. I didn't care because to me, I didn't lose all my hair. So it's like, you know what? This is the way I'm going to live. I'm just going to live with sprigs until it all comes back in. And that's what I did too.
Self-exam is very important. I know it might seem odd or funny to do that, but honestly, you're the only person that really knows your body the best. So, and nobody's watching you while you're doing it, so why not do it?
Well, the mammogram is not that bad. Everything is what you make it. If you just go in there and just do it and not complain about it, it makes things a lot easier, which goes back to going with your chemo and your radiation. Why complain? Because it only makes it worse. And if you're, "Oh me, poor me," it does make things worse.
And don't put off getting a mammogram because it hurts. It only hurts for a minute. There's things that if you don't take care of it, it's going to hurt you for a lifetime.
I went to the John Marsh Cancer Center, and I've done my chemotherapy there and my radiation there, and they're awesome.
By and large, most people are very frightened. They have not had any experience with radiation therapy in the past. Many of them have not had any cancer experience personally in the past. It generates a lot of fear and apprehension. When those things happen, people don't hear what you're telling them as well as you think they do. So we do know that we have to repeat things fairly frequently as they start treatment, and that's not a problem. We're happy to do that. We also give them written information to kind of back up what we're telling them verbally when they come to see us. Lots of times they need a special touch. They need just somebody who's going to be extra friendly to them. Somebody who's going to be warm and caring and let them feel like they're their family. They're not just another person who's coming for treatment. We try to give them individualized attention, and we try to be very compassionate when we're treating them.
If you were a mother, if you were a worker, if you jogged, if you did all these other things, keep doing them. That's your life. This is a side journey that you're going through. You're going to get support from me, and the staff in the Cancer Center, in the office, from family, friends, clergy. They will help you deal with this. But breast cancer is not you. You have breast cancer, but you have all these other things. And to the extent you can remain involved with your life and active in your life, that is going to make this a much better course.
I was very comfortable with my doctors, the treatment that I received from John Marsh Cancer Center. They were just wonderful. They were like my second family as I was going through this, so you want to be comfortable with your doctors.
Breast cancer awareness really helped me a lot, because they're there for you to answer any questions that that they can, and they can guide you to where you need to go.
When people come into our office and pick up materials that they need, or a camisole or a prosthesis or wig, when they leave with the bag full of things that they need at that time. as they move forward into their treatment. They usually leave with a hug and a smile, and we usually get a smile and a hug back from them. So it's a very touching moment for all of us here. I've been working with patients for a long time, and a lot of them are still here and still stop in to come and see us over periods of time and visit and chat and are doing well. So it's wonderful to see the survivorship and the sisterhood that's kind of formed with all the different breast cancer patients over the years. It's just like people with their angels as they're going through treatment. A lot of the angels become friends with their patients from the sending of the cards and the notes. It's truly a unique organization in so many ways. It is a sisterhood. Our Survivors Party that we'll have coming up in October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month will have 300 women and their guests. And just to see them stand up as we go through the years of survivorship, to see this whole room of women standing is really tremendous.
Continue to be positive, and you know it's a battle that you're going to have to fight, but keeping positive will help you defeat it.
And just keep telling yourself, you know, I have cancer, but cancer doesn't have me, and find that positive in every negative because it's there.
I can't tell you how it changed my life. You know, I now have a sticker on my truck that says Cancer Survivor, and I didn't put it on for a long time, and somebody made the point, you should put it on so that other people see it. You don't put it on for yourself, you put it on for the car behind you the person may have just gotten diagnosed and they're scared to death, and they can see you driving and living your life, and they can say, oh, well, it's not the end of the world.
There's lots of life after this disease. I was told that right after my biopsy. The nurse that was assisting the surgeon said, I know you've written yourself off. She could tell just by looking at my face. And of course, you know, everyone's scared when they hear these words. And she said, there's lots of life after this disease. And I've remembered that, and I've shared that with many people that I've talked to.
Log on to AntedomCable.com/stop breast cancer for links that could save your life.